Texas, as the Longhorns look to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss last week as they play host to an undefeated and 24th ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys squad. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick at Cunningham. It's great to have you with us. Dr. Jerry Punch will join us shortly. It's almost impossible to describe the range of emotions that Texas football fans must have felt last week. First, the highest of highs, the miracle comeback in the fourth quarter. And then the lowest of lows as they missed the extra point. But in the end, there was one more emotion, and that was hope.
And a saying was coined, in Heard we trust, which is Jerrod Heard, the redshirt freshman quarterback who some people around this program thought maybe they should play last year, but luckily they didn't. Able to preserve a year of eligibility. Decided to start Heard after the Notre Dame game. Not as good a thrower as Tyrone Swoops, but holy cow, can he run it. This against Cal, when 7 players from the middle of the field to the right for Cal are there, well, I'll just run it to the left for 20 yards and score. But the part of his game that is surprising for people is he is a very efficient passer. It's not going to look great every time, but he has decent feet, a good enough arm, and he's accurate and on time, a decisive throw, and that makes him hard to defend. But it's the running ability that really sets him apart. This was the one that, if the extra point would have been made, would have tied the score. And it's one of those runs where the safety from Cal is still wondering what in the heck happened to 13. And that "in Heard we trust," that phrase was coined by the Texas defense. They made stops at the end of that game, and this is a Texas bunch that's young and not doing very well, but they made stops because if they knew they gave it back to the quarterback, he could score.
Last year, remember, it was Oklahoma State was the team that had to make the decisions at quarterback, and it looked like they made a good one, too.
And Mike Gundy took some heat last year when Mason Rudolph, who'd been a true freshman, highly recruited, people were saying, should he play, shouldn't he play, in what felt like a lost season. After a devastating loss to Texas, they put Rudolph in. He goes 2-1 down the stretch. They get into a bowl game. They beat a ranked Oklahoma team. This is a very good program. Maybe the best defense they've had all year. And, oh, yeah, they still have Mason Rudolph, the guy that they brought in, burned his red shirt, as it's called in college football, took away that year of eligibility, and he's 5-1 as a starter. Pretty easy first part of the season, though. This will be the best defense athletically that he's faced at the start of the year.
And we'll check in at the sideline with Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thanks, Mike, and hello, everyone. Folks, this is the youngest Texas Longhorn football team they've put on the playing field in over 15 years. When they began the year against Notre Dame, they played 21 freshmen. 15 of those were true freshmen. In fact, in all 3 games they've played so far, they have played at least 15 true freshmen. Now, when head coach Charlie Strong looks out on the field, he sees a true freshman middle linebacker. Beside him, another true freshman linebacker, and behind them, a true freshman cornerback. Charlie knows the learning curve is steep, and in today's Big 12 opener, it's going to get that much steeper. Mike?
And, Jerry, that's just the beginning. The other guys that are playing are redshirt freshmen and sophomores. There are very few upperclassmen on this ball club.
Anytime you have turnover, with Mac Brown, of course, leaving and Charlie Strong taking over, you're going to start getting younger as you recruit guys. An incredible recruiting class in 2015 for Texas. Felt like a breakthrough class for Charlie Strong.
Will they kick to Dejay Johnson? One of the great kick returners in the country. Cal would not kick him the ball a week ago, either punting or kickoffs. But they will challenge this kid. 5 yards deep, he'll take a knee. Jerrod Heard, the Texas quarterback, broke Vince Young's school record a week ago. 527 yards in total offense. He had 364 yards passing, 163 rushing. Only Colt McCoy had ever broken the 300, 100-yard barrier. And the fourth quarter, something to remember forever. 96 passing, 95 rushing, 2 scores.
And those 2 names, Colt McCoy and Vince Young, the last time that the Texas faithful felt like they had a real playmaker at quarterback. This guy is starting to give people that feel.
Jonathan Gray is his running back. They'd love to get Gray started. They don't want Heard taking every hit during a ball game.
Well, when you watched last week, of course, there was a change in the play calling structure here. Now Jay Norvell, the wide receiver coach, the play caller, and they've gone to an option-based offense. The ball will be in Heard's hands on almost every play with some type of read. but he kept it a few too many times, so not surprised they're starting with a tailback run.
Read option again. Gray up to the 30. They need to reach the 35 for a first down. Jay Norvell called the plays at UCLA. He was a coordinator at Nebraska where he didn't call plays, but he's a very experienced guy, and they're running the same offense that virtually every high school in Texas runs, and that is a boost for this program, I think. 3rd and 5. Heard flushed, and down he goes. Pressure from Vincent Taylor.
Vincent Taylor, one of the young guys that was challenged by the staff to step up. They lost a defensive tackle in camp. Here it is a line stunt. Agba, a very good defensive end, comes down inside the defensive tackle. Taylor comes to the outside. Well run. Good call by Glenn Spencer, the defensive coordinator, getting pressure with not a blitz, but a stunt.
A booming kick to McCleskey. And McCleskey drilled as he got to about the 32-yard line. A 9-yard return after a 58-yard punt. And Oklahoma State has the ball for the first time behind their quarterback, Mason Rudolph. He's 10th in the country in passing yards per game, more than 315. And this season, he's completing nearly 70% of his passes. For his career, just 5-1 against a real good bunch of ball clubs as a starting quarterback.
Beat a ranked Oklahoma team last year helped beat a ranked Oklahoma team to get bowl eligible. Beat a solid Washington team. A little bit light in the early season schedule, so let's see how they react.
Chris Carson is his running back, but they go out to James Washington as they spread the field, and they'll throw it anywhere.
And they'll have a couple of different paces. It looks like they're going fast. Cal had last week against Texas really burnt out Texas's defense at the end of the half, the first half especially, with the pace. So not surprised there's a pace here.
Post pattern to Glidden and complete. Nice throw by Rudolph. And this is the challenge for this Texas defense.
Center Judge now is holding the ball until the sticks are set, but that's the new 8th official moving out. A lot of times, and you saw it in the play before, the center judge is a new position for officials, and now he's in charge of holding the snap until the defense can match alignment. He was trying to hold it there, but the ref said go, and they have told the players and the officials the center judge may be in the way sometimes. It's not his job. He has to stay until he tells it to stop. Good job getting in the way, and I liked how Oklahoma State, that strategy, they knew that guy could be there, and it didn't bother them.
Carson goes out in the flat. They throw over the middle and complete it inside the 20-yard line.
Terrific read and throw by Rudolph. He saw that there was a linebacker, Hughes, dropping off. He waited till the receiver cleared him and threw it right behind him. Nice read.
Hit Seals right between the numbers. Quarterback keeper. He'll only get a couple to the 17-yard line. Rudolph, longest run this year, 21 yards. It's unexpected when he tries to take off.
And Oklahoma State is going at hyper speed.
Breakneck. Blitz coming. Pass incomplete. Just short. Intended for Jawan Seals. And how fast do you think this is to the Texas secondary full of young kids?
And seeing so much offense and one that's running very well. Rudolph just missing the throw there, but now a big 3rd down for Texas defensively. They have not been able to bring pressure. They look gassed. I don't know if they can get pressure. Rudolph is a good enough thrower. I don't know that you just want to rush 3 here, what they're showing. I think you've got to rush more if you're Texas. Otherwise, someone's coming open.
3rd and 7 it is, a 3-man rush. And Rudolph gets away, still on his feet. For the end zone, touchdown to Shepard. What a job by Mason Rudolph to keep the play alive. Made 2 guys miss and was able to find a man open in the end zone.
And the secondary extremely inexperienced for Texas. And I wouldn't be shocked if some guys gave up on this play, some younger guys, not expecting Rudolph to stay up. Good pressure by Cottrell off the end, but just lost their eyes on Shepard.
Grogan for the point after. Something Texas fans will never consider automatic again. Will they kick to Johnson again? They tried it the first time, and he took a knee 5 yards deep. He'll bring this one out. Jerrod Johnson to the 25. Heard takes the direct snap, wants to throw. Post, caught. Perfect throw to Marcus Johnson. Michael Hunter, tough to get better coverage in that, but it's a perfect throw.
Johnson, a guy who missed last week with an ankle injury. They said he was close to 100%, and this is the part of the game that Jay Norvell, what a terrific timing throw. He just looked completely on balance, really nice step. But this is the part of the game that Jay Norvell said can make us different. If we can throw it long, we're going to be hard to defend.
Blitz coming. Gray will carry down to about the 26. His dad, James, an All-American running back at Texas Tech.
And this is an offense with the electric Jerrod Heard as an athlete at quarterback. Glenn Spencer, the defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State, said this quarterback might be the best overall athlete we'll see this year. But if this guy can throw it long and run the option the way he does, this will become a very good offense.
Quarterback draw. Spins and picks up a couple extra yards down to the 29, where Ryan Simmons, the middle linebacker who was held out last week in preparation for this game. Simmons had almost 100 tackles a year ago. He's got a foot injury. I just want to make sure he was ready for this.
Well, they played the University of Texas last week, but it wasn't the University of Texas at Austin. It was at San Antonio. So I figured they could let him rest a bit.
Heard little option look. Keeps. Now shovels ahead to Gray. What a heads-up play by Heard. The key to that is to keep their distance from each other, and it was perfectly done.
But the credit I want to give is to the safety. I mean, that's just, if the safety doesn't stay home on that for Oklahoma State.
That's Trey Flowers.
Yeah, Trey Flowers doesn't stay home on that. That could have been a touchdown.
Nick Rose comes on to try a field goal. The young man who was so disappointed last week with that missed extra point. This is from 41 yards out. It would be a lot for his confidence to make the first one, and he does. So Longhorns get on the board. It's 7-3. Still early in this ball game, 8:50 to go in the quarter, but already 7-3 Oklahoma State over Texas. Deep into the end zone, and Carr will keep it there for Oklahoma State. Post beautifully thrown, complete up to the 40-yard line. James Washington made the tackle. And this is the challenge for Texas, because Oklahoma State can put up yards in bunches, and the Texas defense has given up more than 500 yards a game. That is a bad matchup. Floated to Blake Jarwin. They call him the cowboy back. It's a combination tight end and H-back.
I haven't seen an offense go this fast in these first two series, Mike.
No. This
in a long time.
It's unbelievable.
And Oklahoma State does have a lot of tempo. But when we were talking to Mike Yursich, their offensive coordinator, of course, Mike Gundy gave up play calling duty a couple years ago just to focus on being the head coach. But he said, we do have a very fast tempo, and they saw what Cal was able to do, especially at the end of the second half when they scored 10 points in the final minute and 30 of that game, of that half against Texas. But this is, I mean, this feels like forever, this one, and they're still going to snap it with 15 left on the play clock or so.
Well, Texas does not have depth. When you're playing all these freshmen, that means you're missing a lot of guys. Complete pass to Seals. Jawan Seals all the way to the 6-yard line. So when somebody runs this kind of speed, there are flags down on the play, by the way. and you don't have depth, you're just wearing out
Roughing
your
the passes.
starters.
Number 95, defense. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. First down.
The sophomore Puna Ford called for the foul.
It's John Bonney working on Seals. Pretty good coverage there. What you can't have is your safety coming over. That's Dylan Haynes coming over and missing the tackle. Your safety has to be a little more under control, and Puna Ford needs to just pull up. You can't knock him down that late. But the coverage trouble for Texas will continue. They've got a lot of young guys trying to feel their way. That time, the safety just a little late to that inside spot.
Seaton, number 44, is in as a blocking back. And Walsh just walks in. J.W. Walsh, who they use in short yardage situations, was waiting for someone to come up and challenge him. They followed the flow of the play to the right side, and he just walked over.
Well, Walsh, a guy who had started some in 13, started until he had a foot injury in 2014, is the runner. They bring him in, but look at the block. Excellent job. Just knocked the guy out by Seaton, and Walsh, who is a better runner than Rudolph, comes in inside the 10 on running down and gets the walk-in touchdown.
Didn't need to be a better runner on that one. Just needed to go forward. So Oklahoma State has found little or no resistance from the Texas defense on its first two drives, and they put 14 on the board first quarter. Indoor skydiving at the Math, Science, and Engineering building at terminal velocity. If it's more than a 4-foot drop, I'm still not in.
I don't know if that's indoor skydiving as much as air tube surfing.
Heard and Walsh connected at the hip. Here's more from Dr. Jerry Punch.
Absolutely. J.W. Walsh's dad, John's the head coach at Denton Geyer High School. Now, he coached his son, who went on to Oklahoma State. His most recent pupil, who graduated 2 years ago, one Jerrod Heard, the current quarterback at Texas. How about that if you're a high school coach? Have your son, who becomes a Big 12 freshman of the year, and then have Heard, who's a record-setting quarterback now for the Longhorns.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Johnson deep again. They'll bring it out. Jerrod Johnson with that speed across the 20 to 26. Heard gives it to Gray, end around. Johnson taken out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Anytime they can get the ball in that young man's hands, it's a good idea. Jordan Stearns made the tackle.
We were just talking about Jerrod Heard playing the same high school as J.W. Walsh. Heard actually took over the starting job as a freshman when J.W. Walsh left, and by his junior and senior year had led Guyton to 2 straight high school championships. But long-term relationship with the Walsh family.
McNeil fly sweep action, and he's got a first down out to the 44. It's pretty obvious right now that if Texas wants a chance in this ball game, they're going to have to outscore Oklahoma State.
Well, they're going to, and right now they're attacking the edges. They're trying to get away from the line of scrimmage. I like this play calling by Jay Norvell. Took over after the disastrous Notre Dame game from Sean Watson and Joe Wickline, who were the offensive coordinators. Watson, of course, was the key play caller, and they switched over, and I like how they're getting to the edge here.
Heard across midfield, still on his feet to the 40. If you're going to blitz this kid, you'd better get him.
Well, the blitz came from Jordan Burton, and he comes free, but gets right underneath of it. And this is just what drives defensive coordinators crazy. This is exactly what you wanted. You've got some pressure. Little surprise they blitz, because when you blitz, you're going to be playing man, and the man guys have to run. The guys covering man do not able to come off. So it's a little surprise Spencer just decided to bring pressure, but when you do it against a guy like this, he can make the pass.
Heard straight back, throws out in the flat. Johnson, Jerrod Johnson picks up about 8 to the 11-yard line. Jordan Stearns.
Terrific catch by Johnson. He had a couple of drops last week. It's not a very natural catcher of the ball, thrown high, but look at the agility of this guy. Now you see why teams kick away from him in the punt and the kick game.
Empty backfield for Heard. Throws over the middle. Boy, what a defensive play by Jordan Stearns. The safety came up. The timing looked perfect on that.
And the fans reacting, wanting potentially a targeting call. Let's watch slow to see if this is. That is not targeting. He did not lower himself and launch into the head neck area. There was contact in the head or neck area, but that doesn't matter. It has to be forcible contact, including the term targeting, meaning that Stearns comes in and aims at the head or neck. He clearly did not. Good no call.
Oklahoma State shows blitz. They come with 4. Johnson out in the flat. 2 defenders there, and he can't get away. Kevin Peterson just wouldn't let him go anywhere. Great tackle, and now they'll have to go for the field goal.
Boy, and they lost a lot. They lost yardage on that.
Yes,
Now you're creeping out to a longer field goal. This is not quite career long range, but this is not a gimme for Nick Rose.
Distance has not been a problem for him.
And it's Trey Holtz, the holder, son of Skip, the head coach at Louisiana Tech, and grandfather Lou, former Notre Dame and South Carolina coach.
And he's a quarterback. He can throw. But Rose delivers. He's now hit for 41 and 46. Texas on the board again, but with the second field goal and not the touchdown they may have needed. And then in this conference, they know how to score points. Holy cow. The question for Texas, can you stop any of this? The first 2 drives, 14 plays, 130 yards, and 2 scores, and didn't take very long to do it either.
You better believe you can, or that's going to be a problem.
Draw play to Chris Carson. And Malik Jefferson, the freshman who's going 1,000,000 miles an hour. It may not always be in the right direction, but he gets there fast.
Jackson, a guy who's still fighting a foot injury from last year, but this was the biggest recruit Charlie Strong has gotten in his 2 years. #1 player in the state of Texas, and brought a bunch of defensive talent once he signed, decided to come with him.
And the #1 linebacker in the entire country. Jarwin underneath to the 32-yard line. They need to reach the 35. So it sets up a big 3rd down. When we come back, that's the end of the first quarter here in Austin, Texas. 14-6 Cowboys. Welcome back to college football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com. We're in Austin, so that is the capital of the state of Texas. Beautiful city.
Yes, it is. 3rd and 3, big down here for Texas defensively. So it feels like a rundown for Oklahoma State, maybe a read option.
Texas has not been able to stop Oklahoma State at all, and they come out throwing. Another post. The middle of that field is wide open as they complete this one to Washington.
That's Chris Boyd, one of the true freshmen, starting to get some run for Texas in the secondary, but the safety play has been the problem really for Texas. The safeties from the start of the season just having trouble with their reads, understanding some of the coverage. It's a very young secondary. Even the guys who are older have not played much, so a lot of learning to do on the back end for Texas.
Rudolph lost the ball, picked up by the Longhorns, picked up by Hassan Ridgeway. Touchdown, Texas. Boy, did they need that. And Mason Rudolph just handed them a gift.
Just dropped right out of his hand. Just right here as he goes to bring it up, it just fell out. You've seen that happen. You've got 2 hands on the ball as a quarterback. He just lost grip with his right hand, and Hassan Ridgeway, who has played himself into the starting lineup, has played really well, gets a gift and breaks a tackle on his way to the touchdown.
And give Derek Roberson half of that touchdown, because he's the one who reached out and grabbed Ridgeway and wouldn't let him fall down when he was stumbling. Did a great job helping his teammate. 34 yards. And the point after ties it at 14. How about that?
I think Roberson would probably say, I didn't need the help. I would have scored all by myself.
Texas is close within one, and Ed, sometimes Christmas comes early.
And unfortunately for Mason Rudolph, there's a Christmas tie-in there somewhere. Just the ball just slips out. Right as he goes to bring the ball up, his left hand probably was gripping it a little too much. He does his very, very best to hang on to Ridgway's gigantic ankle, but it's not able to. Ridgway is just a big, thick guy, good runner. He's been playing well. And now for Rudolph, it's like being a cornerback when you get beat for a touchdown. You got to come right back now if you're Mason Rudolph and just wipe that away. Those happen. I've talked to quarterbacks who've done that. Hey, you just drop the ball sometimes, and you just have to be able to bounce back.
Nick Rose, who's been great with kickoffs, booms this one completely out of the end zone. Yeah, based on what he did last year, the future's pretty bright. Straight up the middle on the handoff to Chris Carson, a young man who had a torturous path to get to Oklahoma State. He was highly recruited out of high school. Everybody wanted him, and then he blew out his ACL. His grades deteriorated because he lost interest. Everybody backed off of him. He eventually went to junior college and found out the family home had burned to the ground. He's trying to get himself in a good place here. And this thrown out of bounds. Rudolph had no pressure on him whatsoever, just stood there and stood there and stood there.
And that ball came out funny. That ball left his hand a little awkwardly as he threw it. I wonder if sometimes if you get a newer ball, it's got a little sheen on it. But not handling the ball well after looking very sharp at the beginning. Good noise by a small crowd. This place is just about 60% full now. But pretty good noise here.
Texas shows blitz. They back out of it. Pressure coming anyway. The pass, and that post has been wide open. Complete to David Glidden. Well, offensive MVP from a year ago.
So far, Texas has gotten very little pass rush on these third downs. And the linebacker, that's that true freshman linebacker, Malik Jefferson, not understanding where that, it's called the drag route, not quite understanding how to mirror that yet.
Shepard on the jet sweep. In the NFL, if there's contact to a quarterback's head, it's a penalty regardless. In college, the official has to make a judgment call.
Well, this was a personal foul roughing call, and I just didn't see it. Again, it looked a tad late, but Boyette was pulling off. There wasn't much of a hit to the quarterback. Just for competitive reasons, would have liked to see that not called.
Carson just unable to get very much past the line of scrimmage. So Texas has done well against the run. It's the middle of the field where they have been torn up against the pass. That was, J.W. Walsh, who was checked in the short yardage situation.
And this is, if you're Texas, you're thinking run. This is what Walsh comes in for, is his own read. But of course, Walsh, with plenty of starting quarterback experience, can throw off it as well. So you have to be careful not to oversell.
Sends Carson in motion. Blitz coming. Pass to the sideline. That should be enough for a first down to Hayes. No, it's not. No. Hayes out of bounds, marked it to 12. And as he tried to extend the football.
Terrific blitz call that time by Vance Bedford. It looked like Walsh was going to run a quarterback draw, and the blitz ran right to it, so he came off and he tried to hit Hayes, who was not beyond the sticks. And little surprised here on 4th and short, as well as their defense has played, that Oklahoma State can get a field goal instead of going for the first down or a touchdown here.
And Grogan knocks it through. Texas fans unhappy this time, not with their ball club, but with the officiating crew.
Mason Rudolph catching a little bit of a break, getting a roughing the passer on a throw that he clearly wanted back that was intercepted. And what a change of momentum.
Tajay Johnson. This time, no running room, taken down to 15. And Texas trying to run it out of the shadow of their goal line with Jonathan Gray.
And all of the people we know who'd worked here for long term, it was not a fun 22 months.
No.
There was a lot of changes being made. People didn't feel like their voices were being heard. And give credit to the Texas administration for making a change. We met Mike Perrin. People seemed to be brighter around him. He seemed to be enjoying himself, trying to learn the job to get this thing righted. And now the question becomes, if you're Charlie Strong.
Gray, huge hole straight up the middle. Gray looking for a block to midfield. Michael Hunter made the tackle, but not before Gray rumbled for 42 yards.
And Texas needed something like this. Hadn't gotten much going offensively. They had 2 penalties on the kickoff return that put them down inside their 5. And now all of a sudden at midfield, you got new life.
Gray must have felt like he was back in high school when he rushed for a record 205 touchdowns. Heard, nice stutter step again, and then the cut. Look at this kid go. Got a great block on the corner and down to the 41-yard line. Jonathan Gray threw a great block for him. Boy, is he dynamic.
I love how he runs parallel to the line of scrimmage all the time. Watch, he does it because there you go, parallel. Now he's going to go back upfield. Now he goes parallel one more time. A lot of that is to get the angle. He glides instead of runs. So I don't think people realize how much ground he is gaining, but boy, is he smooth.
He gives the defender that dead leg and that hesitation step. Comes out throwing. Johnson had it in his hands, looked upfield and dropped it. Dejae Johnson had a chance to pick up 10, maybe 12, and just couldn't hold the ball.
A couple of drops last week for Johnson. We were just talking about the firing of Steve Patterson, an athletic director. A lot of people wondering with Charlie Strong, just his 2nd year here at Texas. And after spending time with him yesterday and seeing the recruiting class he got, you have to give this guy time. You can see he has a vision for what they're trying to do. The players are getting better. They will get better on the field. But it did feel like Charlie Strong starting to feel a little more comfortable too.
Swoops into the ball game and dives to the 23. A re-energized Tyrone Swoops making a contribution.
And because it's short yardage and because Swoops is a bigger guy, this is a choice by the Texas coaches to not get Jerrod Heard hit. So I think this is a terrific. This is the 2nd time we've seen Swoops come in. We saw Heard get hit way too many times against Cal. And here's a guy who started every game last year, started the first game of the year, getting some reps and taking some wear and tear off of the slider Heard.
First down again. Foreman on the sweep, hitting the backfield. Heard throws over the middle, complete to Foreman. Deontay and Armonte, twin brothers. One a flanker, one a running back.
And this is one thing they said about Heard is he is a very decisive thrower. When he sees it, he throws it. Excellent job there. Now you've got this into a 3rd and shorter situation. For Oklahoma State, you're so worried about this guy, but there's nobody in the 2nd level right behind the line of scrimmage. They're too far away. I think this is somewhere for Heard to go for a quarterback draw.
Well, you're right. The middle wide open all the way to the end zone. Heard sits in the pocket now, flushed. Trying to run forward himself. I don't think he was aware where the sticks were.
I don't think so either.
Instead of lowering his shoulder and maybe trying to get another yard and a half, he went out of bounds.
And here come the big bodies to go for it and I love going for it here on 4th down if you're Texas. But I think you're right that Heard, as he's running away from Jordan Burton there, just didn't realize where it was. I like this call, bringing in bigger bodies, including Swoops. This is a good decision for Texas. They've not been able to slow down Oklahoma State offensively.
4th down, call it 2. Swoops, hesitates, takes it outside. 1st down and more. Swoops, touchdown. What a patient run. And if you're not patient, it doesn't work. Maybe that's where being a junior comes in handy.
Guy's played a ton. He started every game last year. Was a starter earlier this year, went through spring ball as a starter, the summer as a starter. He's got a good feel for it. Bigger guy at almost 250 pounds. And I love going for it there on fourth down. This is feeling like it's going to be one of those 55 to 50 type of games.
Pretty good first half. Our score, Texas 20, Oklahoma State 17. Send you to Adnan Burke for the Lexus halftime report.
Hey, Coach, gutsy call. Down by 4 points. It's 4th and a half a yard on the 7-yard line. What prompted your decision to go for it rather than taking the kick?
Well, we were down, and I just know that we needed some momentum and needed to get us a swing there. So just to go for it, and you put Swoops back there and say, hey, let him take a chance. Let's go get the first down.
Your young football team making some extraordinary plays here in the first half, but big penalties, 9 of them have hurt you. How do you address that at halftime?
Well, that's what's hurting us right now. We're just shooting ourselves in the foot, and we just got to make sure that we can eliminate those penalties.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Austin, Texas, where we have a great ball game for you. Texas on top of 24th ranked Oklahoma State, 20-17. And Ed, the way Oklahoma State started, it looked like they might blow out Texas, but nothing doing.
Texas's defense is very young. We talked about the secondary, but they're starting to feel a little bit. With Jerrod Heard in at quarterback, they feel like they have a new spark. They can get some guys off. But what's been interesting is it's been the backup quarterbacks who've been scoring a lot of touchdowns. We knew Walsh would get in here, but I think this is smart to get Swoops in because Heard is 195 pounds, a slider guy. Get closer to the goal line or short yardage. Swoops has been the guy for Texas.
And I was just going to say, don't you think both teams have done a great job of keeping those backup quarterbacks engaged as part of the game plan and having them be successful?
Well, and if you're Oklahoma State, your luck with quarterbacks over the last few seasons, you know that you better have your second stringer ready. So it's nice to be able to get J.W. Walsh from run and Tyrone Swoops.
Jeff Carr deep to receive. 6 yards deep. He will take a knee, and we check in with Jerry Punch.
Talked to Mike Gundy coming out at half, guys, and I said, Mason Rudolph and company moved the ball very well in the first couple of drives. Then your offense began to sputter. What happened? He said, we went away from running the football. We got to be able to go back and run the football, which we did effectively in the first couple of drives. As far as defensively, he said they're able to run the ball on our perimeter. We made some adjustments to try to stop that in the second half.
And Jerry, Mike Gundy has done some great adjustments over the years building this Oklahoma State program, and what a contrast between Charlie Strong just getting started with his career at Texas and what Gundy has established. Oklahoma State has won 3 times in a row in Austin. They had never done that before. In fact, before that streak, they hadn't beaten them in Austin since 1944. This is Marcel Aitman making a grab on the first play of the third quarter.
The rush yards for Oklahoma State only 45. It felt like when they went to the throw and got out of that rhythm was when they slowed down a little bit. But they come out slinging it around.
Childs bulls his way straight up the middle. Took Nashawn Hughes with him. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Talked to Cowboys trainer Kevin Blasky. Said Chris Carson retake his right foot. Could go if needed. It's the coach's decision right now.
Rudolph hits the big one down to the 15-yard line to Aitman. What a throw. And Aitman, nice adjustment to make the catch.
Ball was just slightly underthrown by Rudolph, which is what you want on this throw. The guy has position, and Aitman just did a wonderful job of leaning back against Duke Thomas right before the ball got there. Terrific throw by Rudolph.
Was the left foot out of bounds? Tough to tell from that angle.
The other thing, too, is does he have possession of the ball all the way through the catch?
Good job again taking a look at the video.
It's really unbelievable how fast this game is and how good the officials on the field are.
Yes.
Even when they miss something, they miss it by, a hair or an inch. This is just terrific. You can see the official right here in perfect position, backpedaling just like a defensive back, eyes on the ball. Terrific officiating.
Rudolph again in the pistol. Straight up the middle, Childs again. Gain of 8, stopped at the 11-yard line, and they have found something in the middle of this Texas defensive line.
Well, they're getting some trap blocks in there. That time Blake Jarwin came across and got a nice block. You got another trap block here potentially.
Instead, they throw to the outside, have it completed to Glidden, who has been quiet since early in the ball game.
And Devontae Davis, the guy who almost made the interception coming off, it looked like he may have hurt his foot for Texas. One of the true freshmen that's getting a lot of run. First and goal from the 8. That's tough down and distance. Long way to go. No timeout or no first down possible.
Childs bounces off the tackler inside the 2. Omenahu, defensive lineman, ended up making the tackle.
J.W. Walsh comes in like they have been doing all season long. Guy has tons of experience. We mentioned he was a starting quarterback ahead of Jerrod Heard.
And a good one.
Absolutely. We have not seen a throw off of this formation with him in yet. Do we see it now?
Remember, this drive started at the 2. Walsh gets it to the 1. They've gone 97 yards so far.
It's not done yet, though. That first and goal from near the 10 is tough. And I always feel like the third down is where you think about the throw. You leave Mason Rudolph on the sideline. Walsh has plenty of arm to throw it. I don't know how much delay I want. Last time, Walsh kind of waited and waited. He's good at that, but any penetration can kill it if you're running some type of quarterback delay here.
Aitman is the only wideout to the top of your screen. Walsh to the fullback. Jeremy Seaton for the touchdown. Seaton with one of those delayed blocks, then broke out into the flat. Perfect execution of that play.
Terrific call. That was the exact same look of the running play that they had before, where Walsh took it, waited for the block to come, and then ran with it. Instead now, when he's waiting for it, it's actually just to set up the run. And that's Haynes, the safety, who's just a little bit late. So hard when you're a defensive back near the line of scrimmage. And Seaton did an awesome job with a little hand slap as he went by. Good execution by the tight end fullback Seaton.
And what a bonus to have a backup quarterback like Walsh who can run it and then execute the pass as well. Franklin Barbecue on 11th Street, according to Bon Appetit magazine in 2011, the best barbecue joint in the entire country.
And if you don't get there early and the meat's gone, sorry. See you tomorrow.
Oklahoma State's regained the lead down to Jerry Punch. I'm with John Walsh, head coach at Denton Geyer High School, and more importantly, the dad of J.W. Walsh. Your son has thrown one in and run one in. What impresses you the most about his play today?
Just that he's getting the job done. You know, he gets asked to come in on scoring in the score zone, and we've scored twice, so just proud of him getting it done.
You were also the head coach for Jerrod Heard. This young man plays with so much composure. How tough is that for a young quarterback?
Well, he plays with a lot of moxie, and I've seen it for 4 years at Denton Geyer, and what I see out there is what I saw for 4 years.
How about that? A dad and a proud high school football coach watching two quarterbacks today.
Jerry, I tell you what, you're a high school football coach in Texas.
You're in heaven right now.
Yes, sir.
How cool is that? Your son, who was your quarterback and got you this close to a state championship, didn't quite get over it for Geyer, but then J.W. Walsh and his dad, when he was a sophomore, went and saw Jerrod Heard as a 7th grader at a quarterback thing, and they said, you know what, we should just have this kid come around. 7th and 8th grade, Heard actually rode the bus to away games, was able to be around J.W. Walsh, learn what a quarterback did, stepped right in, and by the end, he won 2 state championships at Geyer. And what a great handoff it was from Walsh to Heard. And how about for John Walsh? Father and a high school coach in the state of Texas.
It's good stuff.
2 quarterbacks playing in the game, and his son's 2 for 2 inside the score zone today. Pretty good deal.
All right, how does Texas respond now that they're down by 4? Heard hesitated, and then threw towards Gray. We talked about him being committed when he throws. He was not committed on that one.
That was close to being a backwards pass. Good job by Heard throwing that in the dirt. They were looking for the wide receiver screen. It was not there. But that was awfully close to being a forward pass. So the ball would have gone, backwards pass, and that would have cost them about 4 or 5 yards.
Now 5 wide receivers. Heard on the scramble, dragged down this time, one of the few times he hasn't been able to get loose. And a good defensive play by Dean and Ogba.
Well, we were talking about Geyer High School. Jimmy Bean, another graduate of Geyer High School. So John Walsh, the coach, has a bunch of his graduates up there. Excellent job reading the inside run. And now this is a down and distance for Texas. Not what they want to be in with a young quarterback. Again, the pass rush has been, for Oklahoma State, they've been able to generate a little bit with just 4.
And they don't want to go 3 and out and give the ball back. This ball floated down the middle and caught at midfield. Holy cow, Caleb blew it. The ball just dropped in his arms, and he had the presence of mind to fight for it and get it.
Great read by Heard, though, the quarterback. He knew Blewett was going to come wide open, so he threw this. Good physical job working one-on-one with Mictavius Jones. But Heard saw that Blewett was that open, and there was pressure coming, so Heard threw it way earlier than you normally would want to. That's what the coaches have talked about. He has a really good feel in the pass game.
Heard on the keeper. Turns it upfield, gets what he can, gets out of bounds. Well, if you're on the East Coast, I think it's a little cooler than it is here in Austin, Texas. If you joined us late, Oklahoma State now has the lead, but it has been a battle back and forth since the get-go. And Texas being led by this precocious freshman. Gray gets maybe 2.
They go back to Jonathan Gray. They're starting to get a lot of runs out of Heard. Slight guy at 195 pounds. We saw him earlier in the game. He's pretty tired and beat up a little bit. But we were talking to all the coaches and everything you hear about this guy, the stadium, the moment, it can never be bigger than him. He just has a great feel for the game, believes in himself.
Tremendous confidence in his own ability. Blitz coming, throws underneath, incomplete and then intercepted. Picked up by Seth Jacobs, the linebacker. On the tip drill, and a big break for the Cowboys.
Well, just a missed catch by Marcus Johnson, and what a huge job by Seth Jacobs, who's wearing a club on his hand. He has a micro fracture in his hand. They were hoping to get some fingers free. You can see the club there, but that ball just the hands off of Johnson, and luckily for Jacobs, with that big club on his right hand, comes in softly. He's able to cradle it and go down. You don't expect a linebacker with a club on one hand to make an interception, but that's just a drop pass by Johnson right into his hands.
Rudolph changing the play, moves Child behind him. Busted play, and Rudolph will lose a yard. You know, we've talked about the middle being...
Look.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
We've talked about the middle being open so many times on defense. If you're a young defense like Texas, you may be able to take some things away, but that means you leave other things open.
Yeah, if you're bringing a guy down, quote unquote, into the box, one of your safeties around for the run game or the short throw game. Right now, 2 safeties though deep for Texas in a 2nd and long.
This one is incomplete, intended for Blake Jarwin, the tight end. Good cover by Malik Jefferson.
Jefferson, that true freshman we were talking about, the #1 recruit in the state, got banged up earlier in the game. Nice for Texas to have him back. If I were Texas, there's one guy I would know about here, and that's Austin Hayes, number 17. He's a bigger body guy who can go up and throw it. He's on the top of your screen, stacked behind the top receiver, number 17. That's the guy the taller guy that they like to look to.
4-man rush. They put some pressure. The pass overthrown and intercepted. Picked off by Holton Hill, and Holton Hill will take it back 39 yards. The Texas defense has not been able to stop anybody all year long until now.
Not just stop them. That's 12 points for the defense. Fumble return, interception return. Ball thrown a little bit high, and there's another one of those true freshmen.
Nick Rose. Holy cow. That was another freshman, by the way.
Yeah.
Just another freshman.
I like the smile there by Mason Rudolph. That's the attitude you have to have. Let's go do it again. There's Austin Hayes. He's buried in there. He's going to go run. Little out route right on the sticks and just a high throw. Rudolph would love to have that one back. Don't want to take anything away from Holton Hill. He made the catch and returned it for the touchdown. But this was open for a second, just slightly overthrown by Rudolph. But I liked the shot we had right before we went to the replay. Was Rudolph had a little smile on his face. We got to go back out and do this. Down 3. Still a lot of ball game left.
Five yards deep in the end zone. They'll take a knee. So how does Oklahoma State react after the big turnover and the touchdown? Childs slithers his way up to the 23-24-yard line.
And for Oklahoma State fans who didn't hear, Chris Carson, the fine running back who was his first year in the program from a junior college, had a leg injury earlier in the game. He is able to go if possible, but did not look like he was close to 100%. So it's been Rennie Childs carrying the load in the second half.
Childs trying to get to the outside. Got a good block on the corner.
I give a lot of credit to the play caller, Mike Yurcich at Oklahoma State. You throw the pick six going the other way. Mike Gundy, the head coach, was talking to Doc Punch saying we've got to run the ball. We ran it in the first half, and they come right back out on this drive. They get Childs going. And this is a defense for Texas that they've had some big blow-ups. Didn't play well against Notre Dame, gave up a ton of running yards against Cal. So you can get it in bunches on the ground.
Childs again. And this is sort of an in-your-face series. Here we come. We've got to establish the run. That was Carr, a guy who was so small that nobody wanted him coming out of high school. He's listed at 5'7", 168, and yet there he is running between the tackles.
And he's coming in because Carson, the back that had exploded on the scene for Oklahoma State, over 100 yards, a couple of ball games, out with a leg injury.
And Carson was a good enough recruit that Mike Gundy ended up taking Barry Sanders' Heisman Trophy to his house, putting it in his lap and saying, this is what you can do as a running back at Oklahoma State. That sealed the deal. Third quarter's over. Back in the
I love it, yeah, I love it when you get that beat. Boots on, stomp your feet. It's like you've been waiting on
The last time Texas had 2 defensive touchdowns was against Oklahoma State in 2009. Doing it again today. Ridgeway picks up the loose ball, takes it for the touchdown, and then another one of the precocious freshmen, Holton Hill, makes a contribution on the pick 6. This is a Texas defense that was giving up 512 yards a game, 118th in the country. That's 118 out of 127. Little swing. Shepard, maybe a yard shy.
It was Vance Bedford, the defensive coordinator for Texas. He was actually on the defensive staff for Mike Gundy for his first 2 years as head coach at Oklahoma State. Now over with Texas. And this is a guy that in Shepard that the Oklahoma State coach is trying to get a lot more out of. He has explosive ability. He wants some consistency. Nice job there. You could see him make people miss in the acceleration he has.
Led them in receiving yards a year ago. Seaton checks in as a blocking back with Childs in the backfield. 3rd and a yard. Walsh, quarterback keeper, gets 5, and that's enough to move the chains. And Walsh will go out as Mason Rudolph comes back in.
Walsh gives a little bit of a change up. Rudolph more of a pocket passer. Rudolph can run the zone read. There's John Walsh, JW's dad, high school coach, and also the high school coach of Texas quarterback Jerrod Heard. So he's got a lot of skin in this game for a
yes,
coach and a dad, doesn't he?
He can't win and he can't lose. Rudolph with time, and he throws it too high. It's picked again. Intercepted by Dylan Haynes, the former walk-on, back to the 39-yard line, a 30-yard return. Boy, oh boy.
Rudolph just off a touch here in the second half. This is the second ball that he's thrown a little high that was intercepted. The first one, he was looking for Austin Hayes. And in 2 throws now, Mason Rudolph has thrown 2 interceptions.
That's not going to help your confidence, and that's badly overthrown.
And that one he's looking for Blake Jarwin, who looked like he was open. Good position by the safety, though. Give credit to Texas. You know, it's easy to say, well, it was a bad throw, but that was a problem for Texas against Notre Dame. The safeties were all over the field that time. An excellent job by Haynes.
Can Texas take advantage? Heard back to throw under pressure, and down he goes. Ogba with a speed rush to the outside. And those are plays that Heard has to see coming.
Yeah, and this is the right tackle. Remember, Kent Perkins went down, so this is Marcus Hutchins. And it's not terrible technique by Hutchins, but Ogba got his edge, and once the guy gets the edge, he's able to turn it. But you're right, Heard needs to, as he gets a little more experience, to be able to step up just 2 feet and go right by 38.
He's been sacked 4 times. They throw underneath, and Johnson dropped it again. Dejae Johnson has got to do a better job of catching the football. Every pass has been dead on target.
And now this is a bad position for Texas to be in after this drop. Now you've got a 3rd and 16. You're not in field goal range. You're probably 10 or 12 yards from field goal range. I don't know that you're going to. To me, this is one where you maybe want to move Heard a little bit, have him look downfield and take off if he has to.
4-man rush. Got time. There he goes. Got a block inside to about the 40-yard line. That'll make it 4th and 10.
Now, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a quick punt here by Texas, up 3.
Good
but
thought.
I don't mind them going. If they do, go for it, because if you punt it and it goes in the end zone, you're only gaining 19 yards of field position. But it wouldn't be surprised you saw a quick punt here.
They're going to go for it on 4th and long. Heard flushed. And can't do it. Knee hit the ground. He's down at the 45. He was so desperate to make a play that he didn't want to unload it and take the sack.
And I don't mind the call and the strategy by Charlie Strong. I think people say, well, wait, why are you going for it? If you punt that ball, he's got a true freshman punter who's already put a bunch in the end zone. You're only gaining 19 yards of total offense. So I don't mind the call by Texas, but Heard needs to throw that away.
Yeah, I agree. Where do we go to Dr. Jerry Punch? Doc?
Mike, there are many great traditions in Longhorn football, but this is one of my favorites. Just up the tunnel and just outside the Texas locker room is a display area with the photos and plaques which tell the legend of Freddie Steinmark. Steinmark, a member of the 1969 National Championship team, was diagnosed with bone cancer and battled through the pain and treatment to play a few extra games. Sadly, just a few months later, he would lose his left leg and eventually his life to cancer. And here's what happens, folks. When the players come in or go out, they tap that picture. And the message is simple. Don't go on that playing field unless you are prepared to play with the courage of Freddie Steinmark.
Jerry, that is such a wonderful story. And
Steinmark gets the movie treatment. My All-American, a movie comes out in November. Aaron Eckhart plays Darrell K. Royal. I'm sure Texas fans will be watching closely to see that impersonation, but apparently does a terrific job. But looks like a beautifully well-made movie.
You would know. Draw play. Unusual call there, I thought. And there's the helmet sticker honoring Freddie Steinmark and the attention called to his legend by the movie. I think that's why we all love sports. It can mean so much and so much good. huge play here. Walsh comes in on 3rd and long. That's a twist as well.
A little confused at the quarterback shuffling. He's been the run guy. Now on a pass down, he's in. Makes you think. Now he can't throw. Obviously, has a lot of yards throwing the ball. He's got a lot of experience, but now a little confusion right before the play clock ends.
He'll run it straight up the middle. Has room, still on his feet. Got about 15 yards out of that, up to the 47-yard line, but will still leave them well shy of a first down. The clock is running, and we have just hit 6.5 minutes left in this game.
And I understand for Oklahoma State, they have not kicked away from this guy.
Now might be the time, don't you think?
He's had a couple that looked like if he got the corner, he was gone. I would try to angle this. If you get this out at the 10 or 15-yard line out of bounds, you'd have to be happy about it.
Signer to punt. High floater. Johnson's going to leave this one alone. And it will go out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Nice punt by Signer. 44 yards. And Foreman almost got away. Takes it out near the 6. Good tackle by Jordan Burton. They picked him up from Kilgore Junior College.
That's such a key spot for Glenn Spencer. It's that lighter kind of, they call it the star linebacker. It's almost a mix of strong safety. They lost a guy to the NFL draft last year, and Burton's been very good. That was a terrific tackle. He was getting as much of a stiff arm as you could and still got the guy down.
2nd and 13. Very surprised that Heard hasn't taken off. Foreman gets out to the 11. It'll be about 3rd and 8.
Yeah, just so conservative here for Jay Norvell with a young quarterback, but I'm surprised they haven't gotten the option on the edge a little bit with Heard. All inside run so far. Both teams playing it very conservatively on offense.
And Oklahoma State burns its first time out. Let's take a look at winning traditions driven by Goodyear. Outside of the Longhorn Nation, you may not have heard of Harley Clark, but you've probably seen what he created. 1955, 60 years ago, the former Texas cheerleader is credited with introducing the Hook'em Horns hand signal. It caught on quickly, became a universal symbol for UT athletics. Harley Clark died outside of Austin last October at the age of 78. The gesture also got him in some trouble. The dean of student life told Clark the signal was considered a vulgarity in Sicily and might be misinterpreted in Texas, but it had caught on and it was too late to stop it. Shovel pass to Foreman. Foreman out to the 16. Very creative, but that will be short of a first down. Very creative, potentially very dangerous. Charlie Strong may be swallowing hard.
Yeah, as former defensive coordinator and defensive line coach Charlie Strong, watching a young quarterback flip the ball into the air under duress in your own end zone has to be a little concerned. But offensively, Texas, they couldn't do much. They got pushed back. They had the penalty.
No rush. Fair catch signaled forth to 49-yard line and made a 40-yard kick. Mason Rudolph, 2 picks. That's the big thing that stands out there. He is just shy of 300 yards. They need at least a field goal. Rudolph with time, and that pass thrown too wide, intended for Foreman. That one came out a little funny.
Rudolph just has not looked comfortable here in the second half. We'll see if maybe he hurt a finger or something. You know, we haven't seen anybody working on it, but that ball has not come out very well at all for Rudolph. And here, up 3, kind of surprised they're throwing it on first down when they've been able to get a little run game going.
Send Childs in motion. Rudolph throws incomplete. And Oklahoma State wanted a flag, and they got it.
Chris Boyd, one of those true freshmen, was all over the back of James Washington.
Pass interference, number 2 defense. Ball will be placed. Stop the foul. Automatic first down.
Good coverage. just around the way, spinning him around. But even that ball came off funny. You know, when you saw that, looking at that angle, when it came out of Rudolph's hand, the ball just doesn't look like it's coming off naturally off of his right hand. It really is coming off strangely.
Childs. Boy, nowhere to go. And guess who was there? Big Hassan Ridgeway again.
We have another penalty flag down.
A lot of flags in this one, and the Oklahoma State players pointing at the Longhorns.
Number 95, defense. 10-yard penalty.
Poona Ford called for the hold. Is that grabbing an offensive lineman so he can't get the block?
You have to continue to try to defend. You cannot just grab guys and allow them to go up.
And Charlie Strong just got hit with a penalty on the sideline. He was about as mad as you could possibly be over that last call. And now he gets
15-yard penalty.
Holy cow.
Well, you don't want to exacerbate this if you're Charlie Strong. I understand the frustration and thinking that it was a bad call, but giving another 15 yards to an offense that's struggling with a quarterback who's struggling, you don't want to be giving this up.
I don't know that I have ever seen this. 16 penalties for 128 yards.
Just not even sure how in the world they would call 95 for defensive holding there.
Tackle made off the corner by Jenkins as they try to run it. They are well within field goal range at this point.
Very strange call on Poona Ford. We didn't see the very beginning of it.
Sure was.
But a huge series of penalties for Texas. But Oklahoma State still offensively, they're just having a hard time getting back to the line of scrimmage now. Texas is giving them everything they need.
Walsh back in the game on 2nd and 11. Running play gets nothing. Stuffed by Anthony Wheeler.
Yeah, the pass game is almost out the window now. I think when they saw that throw by Mason Rudolph, the last one come off strangely, I just feel like now with the penalties, they're feeling very good about Ben Grogan. He had a little rough start to last year, a little rough start to this year, but has gotten into his groove. But I just do not see a throwing, Oklahoma State throwing the ball. They have the runner Walsh in, and just, they have not felt good in the throw game for Oklahoma State.
Grogan is 1 for 1 today, and Walsh is going to hand it off. They're going to leave it up to their kicker. And this will be a 35-36-yard field goal try.
And we put this in context. Texas coming into this game defensively was not good. They were one of the worst 100 teams.
Not good?
Yeah, they were struggling.
Awful.
And they have good players, and everybody knew they were going to get better.
Yes.
But Oklahoma State has just looked anemic on offense. And, I'd like to see by the end of the game if we hear more about Mason Rudolph and maybe his hand.
Grogan is hit from 34. This is from 36 to tie the game. Clutch. That is a clutch kick.
Sure is.
Charlie Strong was livid after that holding penalty on his defensive line, and then picked up 15 himself. It was 30 yards in penalties in one play.
Let's watch Poona Ford here throughout the entire play. He's the guy who's going to be called for defensive holding. And this is Ford here. He was lined up on the other defensive tackle. I still just don't see what in the world they're calling there on 95. And then Charlie Strong agreed. He didn't see what happened, but that was a bizarre defensive holding call. We watched it time and time again. 95 did not appear to hold anyone. As a matter of fact, he was being pushed back and was trying to stop that. And then Charlie Strong gets a penalty that pretty much puts Oklahoma State into field goal range, that 15-yard penalty on Charlie Strong. And here we sit tied because Oklahoma State's offense hasn't been able to do anything despite those penalties.
No, and they settled for that field goal. They ran 3 plays into the line, got nothing. Johnson, one of the most dangerous in the country. Out to the 25. A minute 26 on the clock. Texas has all 3 timeouts at its disposal. I would certainly expect him to look to run. Pressure. Gets away from a couple of guys still on his feet. There's that signature move. Let's go to the studio. Dan Vert.
Hello, Mike. Just a programming update for you. Texas A&M and Arkansas has currently kicked off. That's over on ESPN2 once those games have concluded preceding it. Otherwise, you want to watch it right now. It's on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app. And, of course, once your game is over, we'll have it here on ESPN. Hope it all makes sense. Mike, back to you.
Heard under pressure. Makes 2 guys miss. A third. And then driven down at the 25-yard line.
Well, now, of course, Oklahoma State used a timeout. Here's Texas using a timeout. Don't want too much clock to run off. And I think that helps Oklahoma State, taking that timeout there.
3rd and long. Can Heard get it with his legs, or will they risk the throw? Blitz coming. And Heard will go down at the 24-yard line.
Terrific play call by Glenn Spencer. Brought one more than Texas could block. Good coverage, all one-on-one downfield. You're going to have to do it sometimes. He's got a couple of really good cornerbacks, so he knows he can trust them. And that time brings one more rusher than Texas offensive line's able to block. Watch coming from the outside. There's just one more guy. Excellent job. 3rd and long, had good coverage. And now Oklahoma State with that timeout. And 1 timeout left. They might get good field position. That's as tough as it has been for Oklahoma State offensively. That timeout by Texas after that run, that was really helpful, I think, for Oklahoma State. As things were going, you almost feel like Texas maybe should have just tried to let this clock run out if possible.
Bad snap, and it's kicked. Are you kidding? Kicked out of bounds. Oh, my heavens.
It went right through the hands. That's 2 weeks in a row that a kicking error may cost Texas dearly. Last week it was a missed PAT, and this one the ball went right through his hands.
Not a bad snap at all, just a blunder by the kicker. Last week it was a missed extra point.
Kyle Ashby, the snapper, put it right on the true freshman Michael Dixon, and just one moment of flinching in the kicking game. Rose missed a PAT that would have sent it to overtime, and now Dixon, the true freshman from Australia, they just got in August, takes his eye off the snap for half a second, and all of a sudden Oklahoma State just has to get to the middle of the field. They may run it and try to score, but man, if I were Oklahoma State, I would work this clock and kick this ball before 4th down.
Straight up the middle with Childs. Texas will try to strip the ball. He's down to the 17-yard line. From here, it would be about a 35-yard try. We've already seen how good Grogan can be.
And that timeout is essential, because if you go for the field goal and it's 3rd down and it's a bad snap, your holder can fall on it and call that timeout, and you get a second run at it.
And this will be a motion call against Oklahoma State. I mean, so many mistakes in this game.
And really surprised Oklahoma State's running the ball right now.
Ball start, number 81, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down. Oklahoma State will use the 3rd and final timeout to avoid a 10-second runoff.
Right, there's a 10-second runoff now when the offense gets a penalty. And that, of course, would have ended the game. So luckily for Oklahoma State, they have that timeout. Boy, what a big, big break.
Well, the break was losing the snap on the punt. Last week, the automatic, the point after. That's all they needed to tie it up and send it to overtime, and the unthinkable happened. And then the unthinkable happens again. Snap directly to the punter. Takes his eyes off of it, maybe trying to get a look at the rush, goes right through his hands, hit him in the helmet. He's been good from 34 and 41.
Without that timeout, snap and hold better be good for Oklahoma State.
Grogan, perfect. Leaving only 6 seconds on the clock. And for the second week in a row, so much joy and anticipation about Texas football, and then they get slapped in the face.
Defense played better for Texas, scored 2 touchdowns, didn't get as much out of their explosive quarterback as they thought, but this is a very good Oklahoma State defense we're seeing. Excellent snap, excellent hold, and Grogan, who struggled a bit early last year, struggled a bit in the first couple of ball games, has been absolutely money today, and the kicking game for Texas, once again, costing them a ball game. And
what a crushing end for the Longhorn faithful. Try not to kick it to Johnson. He'll get it on the toss. And then taken down at the 35, and it is over. And for the 4th consecutive time, Oklahoma State comes to Darrell Royal Texas Memorial Stadium and beats the Longhorns. Fred Cunningham and Dr. Jerry Punch, Mike Patrick, so long from Austin. We'll send you to